Give me a second to move. Okay, so let me just copy over this thing again. Right, it has created your function, fine. And now that we have this, we need to change our delimiter back to semicolon. And now we have that function. Does that make sense? Because our function can have multiple statements or multiple lines that end with semicolons. Before every time, whenever we declare a function or a bunch of functions, before that, we would need to set our delimiter to something that we won't use, and then write our functions and then set the delimiter back to semicolon. So remember that. Welcome to SQL functions. Okay, where were we? Right. So we can also use the select into statement. Remember, we just saw the statement where we selected into a temporary variable. So into temporary variable as select statement, or create temporary variable as that thing, or select these from where clauses into the temporary table. We can also do the same thing with the into clause, use the into clause here to save it into a variable as well, instead of actually declaring a separate, that comes later. So essentially we use the select into clause here to actually assign this particular value into this variable a count of ours, right? So initially, if you remember that the select into clause was used to create a new temporary table. However, this does not create a new temporary table. This just assigns this value into this variable a count. So there are a different set of things, and basically, yes. So select into sometimes has multiple meanings. Sometimes it might be used to create temporary tables. Sometimes the way you use it, basically. So select blah, blah, blah from where clauses into, that is basically you are creating a new table, or select these statements into this variable would actually write something into a stored routine variable. We can also use the set syntax. So set result, this particular statement would actually compute this result and set that value there. We can also assign multiple variables using our select into syntax. So select count star and sum balance, so the number of rows and the total balance, into a count and total balance, right? So here, if you can see that we have declared two variables, a count integer, total balance numeric 12,2. And one thing to note is that whenever you are writing SQL functions, all the variables that you declare for your SQL functions need to go up top. And that is similar to your old style standard C codes, right? All the variables needed to be declared above, and then you write your code. This changed with Python and C++ later, right? Even in Java, where you can declare variables anywhere. But in SQL and like old time C, you have to declare all your variables first, and then you have your statement. So here we have those variables, a count and total balance. Total balance is a decimal type value. So count star sum balance into a count and total balance from depositor. Because we want the number of accounts and the total balance, basically for every customer, we needed to join the two tables together, because none of those exist in, both of those don't exist in the same table. We perform a natural join. So from depositor and natural join account, where customer name equals customer name, the customer name that was given by the user as a parameter, select those rows, count those rows, sum them up, and set those values as a count and total balance. However, remember that if we are using this in a function, we are still allowed to only return a single value, right? We are not allowed to return both of those. So we have to only return one of those. But again, we can compute them if we want. Okay. So let's have another example. So let's have a function that sums up numbers from 1 to n. So create function sum n an integer, returns integer, right? declare result, result being our variable, integer default is set to 0, set result to n times n plus 1 by 2. That is the formula for 1 plus 2 plus 30. And then return result, end. We can also write this a bit more simpler way, by just not declaring a value of the result at all and just returning this computation directly. I'm sure you guys have done this in your programs as well. So create function, this remains the same. Return n times n plus 1 by 2. This does the same thing without the need for declaring another variable. Okay. So that was, those were basically examples of functions. We will basically look into functions a lot more in this set of slides. But one thing to remember about functions is that we cannot use a function to overwrite a table, but I don't think this is not talking about the thing that I am talking about. Right. I just went ahead of myself. Just give me. Okay, all right. So we can't overwrite functions. That means that we can't redefine the function body. So as you saw with that previous example, when we had fixed the delimiter and wrote our entire function body, and then it said that function name account already exists, right? Because that function name already existed from a previous try that I made. And that is why what we needed to do was drop that function and then rewrite that function, right? So that is what we need to do. So we can't overwrite functions in our database. We need to drop that function first and then rewrite that particular function.
So one, basically, if we make mistake on the function definition, we have to kill it and then redefine it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So now coming to the thing that we want to talk about is, so functions cannot affect your current transaction status. Functions cannot commit, or functions cannot roll back your data. So essentially what it means is functions are not allowed to modify your tables except in some particular circumstances, but essentially functions are not allowed to modify your tables at all. And secondly, a function must only return a value and a single value. And all of our function arguments are input values, right? So we will understand what this means in a second. But essentially, the main important factor is a function cannot modify tables. And so another concept of functions is what we call as procedures. So a procedure in SQL can be used to alleviate some of those limitations. So a procedure can be used to update a table and things like that. However, there is another weird thing about a procedure in the sense that you can't use a procedure in a select clause. So a function can be used in a select clause, pre-compute some things, use it in a select clause and do stuff. However, since procedures do not return a particular value, because a procedure will not return a value, instead a procedure does compute something, and that's that. It has the ability to update a table, however, it won't return anything. And that is why it cannot actually be used in a select clause, because it doesn't actually return anything. So an example procedure would be, so I'm guessing you guys might wonder why use a procedure in the first place if it does not return anything. What is the use case except for updating tables? But essentially, there is a slight different syntax for procedures. So we can create a procedure sort of similar to what we did for functions. So create procedure instead of function, account summary, and note how this procedure takes in 3 arguments, right? And this procedure basically tries to return both the, so tries to compute and return both the number of accounts and their total balance. So for every customer, tell me the number of accounts that customer has and the total balance of that customer. So that would be your account summary procedure. However, we said that a procedure cannot return anything. And here we are asking the procedure to return 2 things, right? So essentially the procedure has a concept where in your parameter list, you can specify what is specify the variables that you want to use for user input, and you can specify variables that you would like to provide answers into. So in this scenario, we state that within, we are specifying that customer name is a parameter that the user will provide data for, right? Out would be variables where the procedure would compute results and update these variables, so that while calling this particular procedure, I would then have access to these particular values once the call is done. So if you guys have coded in C++, you guys would remember that this is pretty similar to the concept of references in C++, right? Or pointers in C, right? So essentially, your function updates those values, and those values or those reference values or the pointer values are available in my main function as well. So this is pretty similar to that. We can have keywords in to specify that this is an in parameter. We can have keywords out to specify that this is an output parameter, or we can also have keywords, or we can also have keywords that is, so in for input parameters, out for output parameters, or we can also have in out, that is parameters that can both be read from and written to, right? So we have this particular procedure, and then we say begin, select count star, sum balance into a count and total balance. Note how these are already defined in my parameter list. From depositor as D, joined with account, because we need both the account now, customer name, the total balance, and the number of accounts that they have. So we perform a natural join, where D dot customer name equals to customer name, that is the input parameter that we got, right? Okay. So this would actually do functions calculate values in parallel or one at a time. So Yogesh, would you explain a bit more as to what you mean by that? Like, what do you mean like parallel or one at a time? Because we are actually consuming an entire table. Basically, internally, we are just executing a query or a bunch of queries and return that value. So what is parallel? I mean, or what is one at a time? It loops to the table one row at a time or many rows. Okay. So very good question. So Yoga's question is, would my function in my query, would that, how would it loop through my table to figure out the result, right? Whatever result that I want from this select or from clause. Very good question. So Yogi, we will talk about the thing and we will touch up on that particular concept in a bit later. But in general, you can imagine that, let's say that I have this select statement as a standalone statement without any functions or anything, just this select statement. So in that scenario, your SQL implementation would actually look into the table, and depending upon that implementation, but MySQL would actually consume the entire set of rows and do those things parallelly in the background, right? So similar to that, your functions or procedures would also use the same backend to compute